So, with it being the 10th annual Gamuary this year, I'm not doing a lot of videos for it, but there will be a couple. I decided I'm going to make a couple of Gamuary compilations, with this first one being all of the NES games that I've reviewed over the years. So, I want to say it's about 10 episodes, but Spider-Man in his in the so this year marks the 10th annual Gamuary, which I never thought I'd be able to say that with this themed month. But in honor of that, I decided to put a couple compilations of Gamuary stuff. And today we are looking at all of the NES games that I've ever reviewed. From Wolverine to Darkwing Duck to Captain Planet. Here's a look at all of them.
Have you ever wanted to play a Mega Man 5 modification? Yeah. Have you ever wanted to play a modified Mega Man 5 game where you play as Disney's anthropomorphic duck fighting crime? Well, have I got a game for you. The year is 1992, and the rise of gaming as a whole had just started to bloom, so companies like Capcom were excited to team up with other companies like Disney, making some of the most memorable games like Chip and Dale, Tailspin, and most famously, DuckTales. But the game we are talking about is Darkwing Duck. The game is a standard side-scroller where you control our math crime-fighting duck. After a little intro, you are given between 3 levels, all with a boss at the end of the stage. You'll meet Quackerjack at the bridge, Wolf Duck is in the city, and Liquidator is of course in the sewers. Once you beat those levels, you are given another set of 3 with Molarity at the tower, Megavolt at a warehouse, and Bushroot, of course, in the forest. With those all complete, you head to the final level at Fowl's Flying Fortress and make your way to taking down Steelbeak, and the game is beaten. Unlike the Mega Man games where when you beat a boss, you unlock their power, you just get nothing. Instead of gaining boss upgrades for each stage you only upgrades are hidden throughout the levels. The lightning upgrade shoots lightning diagonally. The heavy gas shoots out a puff of smoke that shoots left and right once it hits the ground. However, the best weapon is the arrow, which when shot deals damage and can be used as a platform if it hits a wall. And not to mention that you can also block pellets coming towards you with your cape. Because this game was meant for children, it is kind of easy, but any fans of the show will tell you that the game is still fun, even though it's easy. There will be points in the game where you want to rage quit and throw your controller at a wall, but other than that, the game is, all in all, not hard. With all of these factors, including the ability to climb and hang onto platforms, the game gives you a very unique type of gameplay and style, but all in all, it is an awesome game. So with that being said, I give this game an 8 out of 10. There is nothing bad other than the weapon system to say about this game. I love it. You'll love it. Go check it out. I'm your superhero critic. I'll stay super as long as you stay awesome. Join me next week for another week of Gamuary. After reviewing a couple of good games, I've decided to torture myself and bring to you a bad game. I bring to you Wolverine on the NES. This LJN abomination is standard side-scrolling, where you control Wolverine on your way to take down villains such as Token, White Guys, Sabretooth, Magneto, and Bubbles! Ah yes, I remember Wolverine's arch-nemesis, the Bubble! Right up there with Silver Samurai and Lady Deathstrike, the Bubble has brought Wolverine down to his knees countless times. Wolverine gets his typical movements, jumping, ducking, punching, and kicking. But there is one thing that this game lacks that the game should have. The ability to use your claws without taking damage. Yes, you use your claws, you take damage. What fucking sense does that make? That's like making a video game about the Ninja Turtles without giving them weapons. As you play through the levels with each successful hit, you fill up a Berserker bar meter, and once the meter is filled, you go into a rage. But the downside is you lose control of Wolverine, which could hurt you at some points. One of the drawbacks to Berserk mode is there'll be times where you're in the middle of the air and you'll lose control of Wolverine, so he'll just drop, committing suicide. The game is shit. There's nothing to say that makes this game any better. So honestly, I'm ending the review right there. The gameplay is shit. The fact you can't use your claws is shit. All in all, it is shit. I'm your superhero critic. Thank you. Next week, I'll try to have a better game. Otherwise, I'm ending Gamuary there. I'm your superhero critic. I'll stay super as long as you stay awesome. Hello, I'm your superhero critic, and I'll stay super as long as you stay awesome. Today marks the second annual Gamuary month, where instead of looking at comic book movies, I take a little break and look at comic book video games. That being said, I do realize this game for today's review has been reviewed by multiple people, including one specific nerd. That being said, I figured we gotta get it out of the way and cover my thoughts on the game. One of the worst shooters of the entire NES library, the Silver Surfer NES video game. The game opens up with a message from Galactus demanding his herald help him gather the different pieces of the cosmic device. We are then taken to a Mega Man style stage select screen where you can pick different stages, all representing Silver Surfer villains. Those stages are then divided into 3 separate levels with multiple angles and obstacles to avoid. One of the things about this game is that every single little thing can kill you. If it's not the bullets flying at you in every single direction all at the same time, so you've got to dodge all of that at once, you also have to avoid running into the walls or avoid any of the oncoming things coming into your direction from this way. And on top of that, you're given limited space. And guess what? You only have 1 fucking hit point. No life bar, no multiple hits, no. 1 fucking hit point and you are fucking dead. Period. End of story. Move on. You have 3 lives and about 4 continues. It's bullshit. With that out of the way, let's talk about powers. The A button, of course, is your normal shooting button, but the thing that pisses most off is that your secondary power is not activated by the B button. No, you don't get the pleasure of using a normal button, B. No, you gotta hit the fucking select button. Who the fuck does that shit? Why would you do the select button instead of the B button, you know, like a normal fucking game? Then again, this is LJN, so they do the stupidest fucking things to make everything so fucking complicated. If you can actually manage to finish beating each stage's 3 levels, despite how hard and unfair the level designs are, you are greeted with a boss battle, which are not even the supervillains promoted for each world. Instead, you're met with generic bosses like a lizard and a gargoyle. You are then presented with one of the pieces of the cosmic device. You are then faced with the final boss, which you have to beat the same way as the rest of the bosses, and you have magically beaten this game. So there was Silver Surfer for the NES. If you can manage to beat this fucking piece of shit of a game, I congratulate you. I personally have never done it, and I probably never will. But all this rage in me from talking about this game has brought me to yet another shooter. But we'll talk about that next week. So, with that being said, I'm your superhero critic, and I'll stay super as long as you stay awesome. Hello, I'm your superhero critic, and I'll stay super as long as you stay awesome. And welcome back to Gamuary. I know I've been kind of late on these videos, but I've got a lot of personal things going on. But with that aside, I thought Silver Surfer was the worst shooter possible. And that's until I found this game. So, how do you create a game based off of a TV show meant to raise Earth awareness and pollution prevention? Yeah, create a really, really shitty shooter! Let's look at Captain Planet and the Planeteers for the NES. The game is yet another typical shooter where you take control of the Planeteers within their bioplane, as well as a sub and helicopter. You're given 5 different weapons, of course, based off the Planeteers' powers. Fire, of course, shoots fire outside the ship. Air gives a ring of air that damages everything. Water shoots a water ball straight towards an enemy. Heart allows you to command or pick up animals, while with Earth, you throw a random rock.
I threw a rock at him.
Now the thing about your power is they are constantly limited, so you will constantly be picking up the power-ups that are dropped throughout the levels. However, like Silver Surfer, the game suffers from the everything can kill you bullshit that most shooters give you. So again, you're gotta do your best to avoid everything and everyone that is shoved into your face. But good fucking luck with that! Also, just like Silver Surfer, the controls of the game are dumb as hell, since the normal secondary power makes the ship turn around like that's needed. Your power select button is actually the start button, and pause is select. So you'll constantly pause the game thinking you need to use the select button. Once you manage to finish the first stage of each of the 5 levels, you then get a short cutscene of the Planeteers summoning the captain. Our hero then has to navigate through the level, also having 5 different powers of the Planeteers, but all he does is become a blob of the element you're trying to use, which most of the game you'll just end up using water. Okay, now that we got the aesthetics down, let's try to, actually beat this game. So, let's get to the first boss. Really? That's all it took. All it took for me to beat the first boss was to punch a window. Congratulations. Okay, time for level 2. Okay, let's heart these people And let's death these water orbs. And level 2 beat. That was easy. Are the rest of them this easy? This game's a lot easier than I thought it was. Okay, let's see. Gonna beat this guy up? Or just fly up to him and beat the level? Did they think about anything with this game? I'm chasing this dude. Let's go! And I've already beat him. Come on. Okay, so final boss. Switch these pipes around and he kills himself. This game is meh. It's not bad, but it's really, really fucking annoying when it comes to the shooter parts. And if you can actually manage to avoid 95% of the game, you'll actually be able to beat this in maybe half an hour. That being said, I still don't think there's any game that's worse than Silver Surfer or this one for the fact.
Actually, wait, Superhero Critic. I have one teeny last request. You're forgetting about the abomination of a game that my fellow X-Men and I have gotten. You mind taking a look at that?
Why do people keep getting in my house? Hello, I'm your Superhero Critic, and I'll stay super as long as you stay awesome, and this review is more than likely going to be shorter than most of my other reviews, because this specific game that was requested by Quicksilver, who has disappeared faster than he appeared, has been covered by so many other reviewers, there's not much more for me to say. The game sucks. That being said, let's take a look at X-Men for the NES. When you start up the game, you get to pick between 6 X-Men: Cyclops, Iceman, Storm, Wolverine, Colossus, and Nightcrawler. And of course, those who can create projectiles use their powers long range, while the rest have to get up close and personal, which ends up with you getting killed over and over again. One of the drawbacks to the game is how cluttered the screen gets when you are attacked from every direction at once, and the screen is always a cluttered, fucked up mess. Which also doesn't help at all, since the computer's AI is so unintelligent, you might as well let your computer kill itself to avoid having to hear its annoyingness, especially if you choose a shooter for your partner. So, mechanics out of the way, with the mechanics out of the way of how shitty the game is in general, in order to actually beat a level, you have to go to the end of the stage, find the key, beat the boss, go back to the beginning of the stage, grab your computer disk, then you beat the level. Then all you get is a little text screen that says, "Hey, congratulations, you beat the game." Then it taunts you with a hidden level that you have to beat in a specific way. And all in all, the game is not worth playing and will completely bring nothing but rage to anyone who tries to play it. So, I'm not even going to try to beat this game. In fact, I'm done with this review as a whole. So, this Gamuary is done. I don't want to piss myself off too much. So, join me next week when we get back to the basics of comic book movies. So, thank you for watching. Kirby. How much I love the sucking.
Superhero Critic.
Ah! What the shit, man? I'm trying to play some NES here, and you just come in and screaming like you're crazy.
Well, yeah, that's kind of why I bothered you. Since you have yet to do a Batman episode this Gramuary, I figured I wanted in on it. I want in on the nostalgia.
Well, normally I tend to keep Batman-related stuff in May, and I'm way behind on Gamuary anyway.
Na 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 na.
Yeah, but
Na 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 na.
but I wanted to focus on a specific villain this year.
Na 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 na.
Okay. Even though I'm way behind on my schedule this year, this is Batman NES. Long before the Arkham games, Batman had his fair share of shitty game after shitty game. But one game stands out from that massive pile of shitty games, and that is the one and only Batman for the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Batman was developed by Sunsoft back in 1989, correlated to release around the exact same time as the first Tim Burton film. And as you will soon see, the music in this game is absolutely amazing.
As you can see, one of the best things about this game is its soundtrack. In fact, I love the soundtrack so much, it's on my phone. I'm not making that up. The game begins with a cutscene of Batman tracking down the Joker's whereabouts, and we see our 8-bit hero drop into the level. Here's one of the few things that bugs me about this game. Why is Batman purple and not his normal black?
Are you really going to complain about the color scheme? That doesn't really seem important considering the rest of the game.
It's important to me, damn it!
It's nitpicking.
No, it's not.
No, it's really nitpicking.
Well, you're nitpicking at my nitpicking.
Dude, are you a child?
Are you a child?
Stop it.
Stop it.
Dude, really?
Okay, you are not fun. Anyway, my nitpickiness aside, Batman is a classic beat-em-up side-scroller where you, of course, control the Dark Knight himself, who has a standard punch that you will use a lot during the game as it is your best attack. You also have the ability to crouch to avoid oncoming attacks, and even the classic wall jump, which is utilized a lot throughout the game in order to advance in almost every stage.
Batman has the ability to switch between 3 separate weapons that on use can take a certain amount of ammo you pick up when you beat any baddie down. You have the spear gun that uses 3, the dirk that uses 5, but you also have his trademark weapon, the batarang, which only uses 1 ammo, and arguably one of the most useful in the game.
One of the biggest issues, and really the only thing I can even find aside from the difficulty level that should even be complained about, is that instead of using the select button to pick your weapon, you instead have to use the start button, which could confuse any normal game player. I still think the color scheme needs to be talked about.
Drop it.
Sheesh, you don't have to yell. Each level of the game is divided into 3 sub-levels, leading into a boss fight. The first level, of course, being the easiest, with you facing Firefly in 1-3. But he is a chump, especially if you stay at the bottom left. he will eventually basically kill himself.
Level 2 is where the difficulty raises majorly as you avoid dropping acid and have to climb past electrical currents, finally making your way to a death room filled with turrets and war guns. But, if you patiently take down each hazard in the room, you will eventually be able to beat the stage.
In level 3, Batman heads underground, having to avoid leaping creatures and making his way to where he meets up with the Electrocutioner, who is honestly easy once you can get on the platform and just wait until he jumps into your attack.
That's right, jump into my fist.
Where did you get that mask from?
What mask?
The one on your face.
The fourth boss is honestly easy as well, since it's just a couple of death boxes that go down quickly and with no real issues, and then it's on to level 5, climbing the top of the tower, avoiding all of the gears along the way.
At the top of the tower, you come across a mini-boss who tries to take your hero down, but like other bosses, he has a set pattern and can be easily defeated.
The final fight, of course, is the Joker, and the biggest obstacle you'll face is the lightning strike, and his gun, which both take a lot of damage. But if you can keep it up, eventually the Clown Prince of Crime will fall, giving us the game's final cutscene. This game is perfect in my opinion. It's got great gameplay, great difficulty, a great soundtrack, and overall, everything is just perfect. And honestly, there's nothing more I can say that hasn't been already said by other reviewers.
Overall, I can't add much to your thoughts. Overall, I agree with you. This game is a very beautifully done Batman game with great music. It has some great bosses, great graphics for the time. And honestly, this game and the Arkham games, I would consider some of the best Batman and superhero games ever made.
So I want to thank you for joining me for this. But if you'll excuse me, I gotta go write the next script.
Oh, no. We have one more video that we're going to be doing together. Why? I've already written a script for you for a Spider-Man game. Boy, this is going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, yay. So I want to thank you for joining me for this. But if you'll excuse me, I gotta go write the next script.
Oh, no. We have one more video that we're going to be doing together. Why? I've already written a script for you for a Spider-Man game. Boy, this is going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, yay. Sinister Six is a typical side-scrolling action-adventure game where you, of course, play as Spider-Man, going through Amazing Spider-Man issue number 334 through 339. Fans who are licking Junior's neck.
What is wrong with you?
Let's see, I'm a 30-year-old man wearing a mask and a cape, and, you know, I'm also transgender, so there's all of that.
Yeah, forget I asked. Speaking of difficulty, while this game does give you health back from beating up enemies, you only have 4 lives consistently throughout the entire thing. And throughout the entire playthrough while you're playing, you only have 1 continue, and 1 life to go on.
Even though the game was re-released in '93 for the Sega Master and Game Gear by Flying Edge, the original still has the typical LJN problems, being high difficulty mixed with clunky controls and things that can make even the calmest player rage with death after death after death.
The game was developed back in 1992 by a company known as BIT, also produced by a company known as LJN.
You're telling me that I have to go through 6 stages and 6 bosses all in 1 life? Or I have to start all the way from the beginning?
I literally just said that.
Why does LJN hate its players?
Probably because I'm not in the game.
Now back to the controls. The A button, of course, jumps, while the B button attacks. Oh, and also the B button shoots your webbing. Oh, and it also jump kicks if you hit it twice, making what happens when you press it very random. And at this point, there is nothing more I can say that hasn't been said by many other reviewers. This game is nothing like Batman NES. It is terrible, it is clunky, the controls half the time never work, and to be honest, there are so much better Spider-Man games out there.
In conclusion, Spider-Man, or this particular Spider-Man game, was revolutionary for the time, and I still consider it to be a game worth checking out for people who are either nostalgic for it when they played it when they were younger, or if you want to check out an old school game. But to be honest, with the different issues this game has, with the continues and some of the controls and whatnot, I do feel that if you really want the true Spider-Man experience, play Spider-Man on the PS4. But overall, though, this game's alright.
So, DeBoss, would you like to join me for next week's video? A Christian-themed superhero show? I don't want to watch it either. That being said, I'm your superhero critic, and I'll stay super as long as you stay awesome.